I remember the last time I saw him like it was yesterday, not 2 years ago. Daniel, standing on the beach of our private villa in Santorini, golden in the sunset light. He turned, smiled that crooked smile I'd fallen in love with, and said he was going for one last swim before dinner. "Don't be long," I called from my lounge chair. "We have reservations at 8. "I won't," he promised. "Love you, Emma." I watched him wade into the Mediterranean, strong strokes carrying him out past the breakers. Then I dozed off in the warm evening air. When I woke, the sun had set and Daniel was gone. His clothes still lay neatly folded on the sand. His wedding ring sat on top, catching the last light of day. But my husband of 4 days had vanished. The Greek police searched for weeks. They found nothing, no body, no signs of foul play. Just a tragic honeymoon drowning, they said. These things happen. The current was strong that night. He must have been pulled out to sea. I didn't believe it. Daniel was an expert swimmer. He'd grown up on the California coast, spent summers lifeguarding. But what other explanation was there? His twin brother James flew out to help with the search, to handle arrangements when hope faded. He looked so much like Daniel it hurt to be near him. Same dark hair and green eyes, same height and build. But James was quieter, more serious. Where Daniel had been all charm and easy laughter, James was contained, careful. "I'm sorry," he'd said when the police finally called off the search. "I know how much he loved you." Did he? Sometimes I wondered if anyone had really known Daniel. Even me, his wife of exactly 4 days. Now 2 years later, I sat across from James in a coffee shop, staring at the letter that had shattered everything I thought I knew about my marriage. "When did you get this?" My voice sounded strange to my own ears. "Yesterday." James looked as shell-shocked as I felt. It was forwarded from my old address. Postmark is from Brazil. I read the letter again, Daniel's familiar handwriting swimming before my eyes. "Dear James, if you're reading this, you've probably been taking care of Emma, just like I knew you would. Always the responsible twin, cleaning up my messes. Well, here's one last mess for you. I'm not dead, obviously. But I needed everyone to think I was. You see, I'd gotten myself into some trouble, the kind that doesn't go away with a few apologetic phone calls and borrowed money. The kind that ends with broken kneecaps, or worse. I know what you're thinking. Why get married then? Why drag Emma into it? Truth is, I needed her. Or rather, I needed her money. That trust fund she inherited from her grandmother. Well, let's just say it came in handy. Don't worry. I left enough to raise the baby. Oh yeah, surprise. Emma's pregnant. About 6 weeks along when we left for Greece. She probably doesn't know yet. Take good care of them both. It's the least you can do, considering you've been in love with her since the day I introduced you. Consider this my last gift to you, brother. The woman you love and the family you always wanted. All yours. Try not to hate me too much. Daniel." My hands shook as I set down the letter. How did he know? About the baby, I mean. I didn't find out until after. He must have seen the test results, James said quietly. "You went to the doctor just before the wedding, remember?" I nodded slowly. The routine physical my insurance had required before adding Daniel to my policy. He'd gone with me, been so attentive. He planned it all, I whispered. The whole thing. The wedding, the honeymoon location. He knew exactly what he was going to do. "Emma?" James reached across the table, then pulled back. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea he was." That he would use me, steal my money, fake his own death. The numbness was wearing off, replaced by a rage so pure it scared me. Did you know about his trouble? The people he owed money to? James shook his head. He'd been distant the last few years, moving around a lot, never staying in one place too long. But he seemed different with you, settled, happy, I thought. He laughed bitterly. I thought you changed him. No one changes Daniel, I said, the truth of it hitting me fully. He just changes masks. My son Lucas chose that moment to stir in his stroller beside me. Almost 18 months old now, he was the spitting image of his father, of both his father and his uncle. Same dark hair, same green eyes, same dimple in his left cheek when he smiled. James looked at Lucas, pain crossing his features. He's right about one thing. I have been in love with you. Since that first dinner when Daniel brought you home. Stop. I held up a hand. I can't deal with that right now. He nodded, understanding as always. James had been my rock these past 2 years, helping with the baby, handling Daniel's estate, making sure Lucas would know stories about his father. Only they were all lies. Every memory, every story, every moment of grief, based on a carefully constructed fiction. What do you want to do? James asked quietly. About Daniel? The money? The fact that my entire marriage was a con. I laughed, the sound edged with hysteria. I have no idea. We should go to the police. And tell them what? That my dead husband sent a letter confessing to fraud. That he's alive somewhere in Brazil. They'll think we're crazy. We have proof. The letter, the postmark, and there must be a trail. Bank records, travel documents. No. I said it more sharply than I intended. No police. Not yet. First, I want answers. Emma, he stole 2 years of my life, James. Made me grieve for him while he was probably living it up on my money. Made me tell our son his father was dead. My voice broke. I want to know why. Really why. Not just the excuse he put in that letter. It's too dangerous. If he really was in trouble with the kind of people who break kneecaps, then I'll be careful. I met his concerned gaze. Will you help me? He sighed, running a hand through his hair just like Daniel used to do. You know I will. Whatever you need. Good, because I think I know where to start. James raised an eyebrow. Where? The last place anyone would look for a dead man. I pulled out my phone, already searching flights. Greece, where it all began. Emma, no, it's been 2 years. There won't be any trail left to follow. That's what everyone thought then too. But look at this. I turned my phone to show him an Instagram post. A sunset shot of a familiar beach villa. Our honeymoon rental. The owner just posted this yesterday. Notice anything strange? James leaned closer, squinting at the image. Then his eyes widened. In the background, barely visible through the villa's window, a figure stood watching the sunset. A man with dark hair and a crooked smile. It could be anyone, James said, but I could hear the doubt in his voice. The caption says it's from last week. And look at the comment. I scrolled down. Someone asked about the man in the window. The owner replied that it must be a trick of the light. The villa's been empty for renovation. So why is there a man who looks exactly like my dead husband standing in an allegedly empty villa? James was already pulling out his own phone. I'll book the flights. No. I touched his arm. I need to do this alone. Like hell you do. He's my brother too, Emma. And if he's really alive, if he really did all this, his jaw tightened. I need answers too. I looked at Lucas, peacefully sleeping in his stroller. My son, who deserved to know the truth about his father, whatever that truth might be. Fine, I said. But we do this my way. Which is? First, we need to find out exactly what kind of trouble Daniel was in. The kind of trouble worth faking your death and abandoning your pregnant wife over. And how do we do that? I pulled up another screen on my phone. Daniel's old office number. The investment firm where he'd worked before our wedding. We start, I said, by following the money. Daniel's old office looked exactly the same. The same sleek glass and chrome. The same professionally bland artwork on the walls. The receptionist even remembered me. Mrs. Kingston. What a lovely surprise. Her smile faltered slightly. I'm so sorry about, well, everything. Thank you, Claire. I forced a smile. I actually need to access some of Daniel's old files. For the estate. She hesitated. I'm not sure. It's been cleared with legal. James stepped in smoothly. Amazing how authoritative he could sound when needed. They're expecting us. 10 minutes later, we sat in a conference room with Daniel's personnel file and archived emails. The official story was that we were finalizing estate matters. The truth was, we were looking for any hint of what had driven Daniel to such elaborate dissection. Look at this, James murmured, sliding a paper across the table. 3 months before your wedding, he transferred nearly $1 million to an offshore account. Client funds? He nodded grimly. And that's just what we can trace. Who knows how much he hid better? My hands trembled as I opened another folder. Inside were client complaints, dozens of them, all claiming missing funds, unauthorized trades, vanished investments, all quietly settled by the firm to avoid scandal. They knew, I realized. The firm knew he was stealing, but they covered it up, probably hoping he'd pay it back before anyone noticed. James was scrolling through emails on his laptop, but he just kept digging deeper. How much? In total? From what I can piece together, at least $5 million. Maybe more. I felt sick. The trust fund Daniel had accessed after our wedding. My inheritance from Gran had been almost exactly that amount. He married me for the money, I whispered, to pay back what he'd stolen. Emma? James reached for my hand, then stopped himself. Always so careful with boundaries, even now. No, it's fine. I need to face this. I squared my shoulders. We have proof he committed fraud. We can take this to the police. Wait. James was staring at his screen. There's something else. Look at these emails. They were in Portuguese, but the attached photos were clear enough. Daniel, very much alive, meeting with a man I recognized from news stories about organized crime in South America. He wasn't just stealing from clients, James said quietly. He was laundering money. For them. And when he couldn't pay it back, he needed a way out. And $5 million to buy his freedom. I stood up abruptly, needing to move. So he found me. Rushed the wedding. Used my money to pay off his debts and disappear. Leaving behind a mess that would be hidden by his death. No one looks too closely at a dead man's finances. Clever. Horrible, but clever. Classic Daniel. Always 3 steps ahead. The photo from Greece, I said suddenly. He's going back to check on something he left behind. James was already pulling up the villa's rental website. It's booked solid for the next month. We don't need a rental, I smiled grimly. I still have the key. 2 days later, we landed in Santorini. I'd left Lucas with my sister, promising to explain everything when I returned. The familiar white buildings and blue domes felt surreal now, tainted by memories of my fake honeymoon. The villa looked exactly the same. Same infinity pool overlooking the sea, same bougainvillea climbing the walls. Same spot on the beach where I'd last seen my husband alive. We waited until dark before using the key. Inside, everything was covered in renovation dust, except for one clear set of footprints leading to the bedroom. "Someone's been here recently," James whispered. The bedroom was untouched, but something about the walls caught my eye. A slight discoloration in one corner. "Help me move this." Together we pushed the heavy dresser aside, revealing a small door set into the wall. Inside was a safe. The combination? I breathed. He used our wedding date. The safe opened with a soft click. Inside was a single USB drive and another letter. "Dear Emma and James, because I know you're there too. If you're reading this, you're smarter than I gave you credit for. Or maybe just more stubborn. Either way, congratulations on finding me." The drive contains everything. Proof of who I was really working for, account numbers, names, my insurance policy, in case they ever found me. Now it's yours. Use it however you want. For what it's worth, I did love you, Emma. Maybe not enough to be honest, but enough to wish things could have been different. Take care of our son. And James, I know you'll be good to them both. You always were the better man. Goodbye for real this time. Daniel. He knew we'd come, James said softly. He knew we'd figure it out eventually. I pocketed the drive. This is what he came back for, but something spooked him before he could get it. A floorboard creaked behind us. We spun around to find 3 men in the doorway. The one in front smiled coldly. "Mrs. Kingston, so nice to finally meet you. We've been looking for your husband for a very long time." James stepped in front of me. "She doesn't know anything." "No? Then why is she here?" The man's eyes fixed on my hand. "And what's that in your pocket?" Everything happened very fast after that. James lunged at the men while shoving me toward the window. I heard scuffling, a grunt of pain. Then I was out on the narrow ledge, heart pounding, Mediterranean waves crashing below. "Run," James shouted. So I did what Daniel had done 2 years ago. I jumped. The impact drove the breath from my lungs. Salt water burned my eyes, my nose. But I'd been prepared for this. Had worn clothes I could swim in. Unlike Daniel's theatrical drowning, I had no intention of dying. I surfaced briefly, saw James diving in after me, the men shouting from the window. Then I dove deep, swimming parallel to the shore where our rental car waited. 10 minutes later, soaked and gasping, we peeled out of the beach parking lot. "The drive?" James asked through chattering teeth. I patted my waterproof phone case, safe, along with photos I took of Daniel's files from the office. "Good." He pushed his wet hair back. "Because I think it's time to get the authorities involved. The real authorities, not local police. Interpol? Higher. Those men back there? CIA. I saw their badges when we fought. Daniel wasn't just laundering money for criminals. He was helping them launder intelligence too. Selling secrets." The pieces clicked into place. The rushed wedding, the elaborate fake death, the constant moves. Daniel hadn't just been running from mob debt. He'd been running from his own government. "What do we do now?" James pulled out his phone. "I have a contact. Someone who can help us handle this properly. But first, He hesitated. Emma, once we do this, once we turn over that drive, Daniel won't be legally dead anymore. He'll be a wanted man. It will change everything. Everything already changed the moment I read his letter. I stared out at the dark water where my husband had staged his death. I want the truth. All of it. Whatever that means. 6 months later, I sat in my living room watching the news. Daniel's face filled the screen. A grainy surveillance photo from Argentina, where he'd finally been arrested. The headline scrolled beneath. International Man and UNT Indies. FUGITIV in CUSTUDUI. Lucas played on the floor nearby, too young to understand that his father wasn't just a sad story anymore, but a real person who would spend many years in prison. James came in from the kitchen carrying coffee. He'd moved in 3 months ago, officially to help with security while the case unfolded. Unofficially, well, some things take time to acknowledge. They're transferring him back to the U.S. next week, he said, sitting beside me. Are you sure you want to see him? I nodded. I need to. For Lucas's sake, if nothing else. His father may be a criminal, but he deserves to know where he comes from. And what about you? What do you need? I turned to look at him. This man who was identical to my husband in every physical way, yet completely different in all the ways that mattered. Who had helped me uncover the truth, even knowing it would hurt. Who loved my son like his own. I need time, I said honestly, to process everything, to figure out who I am beyond Daniel's victim or Lucas's mother. You have time, he said softly, as much as you need. On the screen, they showed the villa in Santorini, now a key piece of evidence in an international investigation. The beach where it all began and ended. The water that had swallowed one life and given me another. Lucas toddled over, holding up his favorite book. Story? I pulled him into my lap while James began to read. My son snuggled against me, secure in the simple truth of being loved. Someday, he would learn the complicated truth about his father. But for now, this was enough. This quiet moment, with the people who had helped me find my way back from Daniel's lies to something real. You okay? James asked softly when Lucas had fallen asleep. I thought about Daniel's letter, about his last gift to his brother. He'd been right about one thing. James was the better man, but he'd been wrong about everything else. My life hadn't been stolen or given away. I'd rebuilt it myself, with help from someone who understood that real love isn't about deception or dramatic gestures. It's about showing up, day after day, choosing honesty even when it hurts. Yeah, I said, reaching for James's hand. I'm okay. Sometimes the deepest betrayals lead us to the truest connections. Sometimes what looks like an ending is really a beginning in disguise. And sometimes, amid all the lies and complications, we find exactly where we're meant to be. The next week, I faced Daniel across a prison visiting room table. He looked older, tired, but still wore that crooked smile. I knew you'd figure it out eventually, he said. You and James, always the smart ones. Why? I asked simply. The whole elaborate scheme. Why not just ask for help? He laughed bitterly. Would you have given me $5 million if I had? We'll never know. You didn't trust me enough to find out. His smile faded. How's Lucas? Happy, healthy, loved. By James? By family. I stood up. Goodbye, Daniel. I'm not coming back. I really did love you, he called as I walked away. In my own way. I paused at the door. I know. But love without trust, without honesty, it's just another pretty lie. Outside, James waited by the car. You got what you needed? I looked at him. Really looked at him. Same face as Daniel, but such different eyes. Eyes that had never lied to me. Yeah, I said. I did. We drove home to Lucas, to our complicated but honest life, to all the truths still waiting to be discovered between us. The future stretched ahead, uncertain, but real. And sometimes, that's the greatest gift of all.